Okay, worksheet 8.6D for Friday. I'm going to try to talk fast because you know what happened yesterday. So, this is about counting principle, which is multiplying, how many, you could figure out how many you have by multiplying the same numbers, or permutation where you still multiply, but you multiply one less number each time. So, I'll show you what I mean later. But for number one, you have two multiple choice questions. So there's question number one, question number two, and you're gonna, answer it. So let's say question number one was answer B, question number two was answer D. So that's one answer key. Now, question is how many? Actually, write the sample space for all the possible answer keys. So I gave you spaces, the rectangle boxes. You're welcome. So one way to get an answer key is number one was A and number two was A. So that's one answer key, one possible answer. And then number one is A, number two could be B. They're a different answer key. Okay, and then A, C, A, D. And then there's one number one could have been answer B and number two could have been answer A. So B, A. There could be both B's and B, C's. Number one and two, okay. And then CA. Yeah, see, I think you got it. So just keep filling in those boxes and you get the answer, the sample space. Now, please make sure that you have some kind of order for writing the sample space. Don't just randomly put letters because you're going to miss one. And then later on, you're going to need to find where you missed it. And if you put it randomly, I guarantee you would not be able to find out. So make sure you have some kind of order. Like I usually do. Number one, I chose A, and then number two, I pick all the different possibilities for number two. And then I move on to number one being a B, and then all the different possibilities and C's and D's. It doesn't have to be in rows and columns, but you have to have some kind of order to it. Okay, so number two, how many different answer keys are possible? Well, it says show work by writing what numbers are being multiplied. So remember back here, so there's two questions and you have to fill in two spaces with letters. So the work that you need to show is basically there are two spaces to fill. In number one, there are four answer choices possible, A, B, C, D. For number two, well, you still have four answer choices, A, B, C, D. So you can choose any one of those. So there's four choices for number one, four choices for number two. So together, you multiply it. There should be 16 different possible ways of coming up with the answer keys. And that's listed above. There are 16 rectangle boxes above, and those are all possible answer keys. Okay. Number three, there are four people, Annie, Betty, Cindy, Daisy. Or let's just go with A, B, C, D. And we're selecting president and vice president. There are two spaces to fill. There are two positions to fill. Okay, so we're going to write a sample space for it. So president could be, there are four people. I'm just going to go with a big Cindy. And then vice president could be someone like Annie. So that's one sample space. Okay, so let's go back and fill the sample space on the rectangles. So on the first box, Annie is the president and Annie is the vice president. Doesn't make sense, right? Hopefully it doesn't make sense. You cannot be president and a vice president at the same time. Okay, so that should cross out. That shouldn't happen. That's not a sample space. That's not possible. Okay, and then same thing with Betty and Betty. Betty is a president. Betty is a vice president. No, that's dictatorship, I guess. So none of these four diagonal boxes are possible because you cannot repeat same person being a president and a vice president. So something like this, Annie's a president, Betty's a vice president. That works. Okay. Now the second column, what about this situation? Betty is a president and Annie is the vice president. Is that the same thing? No, it's not, because in the first box over here, Annie is a president. In the second box over here, Betty is a president. It's a very different situation. It's like, Trump is a president and Pence is a vice president. If you switch it, Pence is a president, well, it would be a very different world that we're living in, right? So these are two different situations. So just fill in the rest, Annie and Cindy and Annie. I think you fill in the rest on your own. Okay. So number 4, how many different ways are for selecting a president and a vice president? Again, there are 2 spaces to fill. Presidents, fill in the space for president, fill in the space for vice president. For president, you have 4 choices. Annie, Betty, Cindy, Daisy. You could choose any one of those to be a president. But once you chose one person for president, for vice president space, okay, you don't have 4 choices anymore. Why not? Because one person has been chosen for president already. We don't know who it is, but there has been a person. So that same person cannot be the president or the VP again. So now you only have, out of 4 people, one person is selected. So now you only have 3 people to choose from. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so president, you could choose anybody, but for VP, you cannot choose that one person who's already present. So you have 3 people to choose from. So there's less number. There's only 12 different possible ways to select president and vice president, because those 4 things on the diagonal, they're not possible. You cannot choose those. That's not the sample space. Okay. Number 5 is a slightly different situation. We're not doing this today, but it's called a combination, not permutation. So there are 4 people: Adam, Bob, Carlos, Daniel. Okay, 4 people. They're shaking hands, handshakes. Okay, so everybody wants to shake hands with each other. So first box, Adam with Adam doesn't make sense again, right? Adam is shaking hands with Adam. That's like, only loners do that. So that's not a handshake. Okay, so Adam shakes hands with Bob. That makes sense, right? And then we're gonna go down, and Adam and Carlos and Adam and Daniel. But let's move on to the second column. What about Bob shakes hands with Adam? Well, those 2 are same situation. Adam already shook hands with Bob. Now Bob's gonna shake hands with Adam. Well, no, they already did. So that already happened. So that shouldn't count. Okay. Same thing with Adam and Carlos. What about Carlos and Adam? Same thing. That shouldn't count. So if you fill in all of these are new handshakes. Carlos and Daniel never shook hands, so these are all new. But all these other stuff, these are repeated ones. Okay, so we don't count those. And the diagonal ones, like Bob, Carlos, Daniel, they don't count. So how many different pairs are there? If you look at the sample space, these are the only ones that should count. Okay, so 1 handshake between Adam and Bob, 1 handshake between Adam and Carlos. So there should be a total of 6. Oh, what about the show work? It says do not show work because I didn't teach you the multiplication yet. So I don't think you're smart enough to figure out on your own. So don't show the work. Okay, hurry. Number 7. There are 4 different multiple choice questions with 4 different answer choices. So come up with an example, like, what are some way that you could come up with an answer key? Like we could do B, C, A. That's one answer choice. Maybe C, D, A, B, something like that. That's another answer choice. So you could tell that you need to fill in 4 spaces to come up with an answer key, right? So in the first space, which means number 1, there are 4 answer choices possible. In number 2, there are 4 answer choices, and 3 and 4. So we simply multiply all these. So how many answer keys are possible? 256 answer keys are possible. So that's why you shouldn't guess randomly and expect to get an A or perfect score, because you have 1 out of 256 chance of getting a perfect score. Not gonna happen. Okay, so what about number 8? How many ways can 4 matching questions be answered? So this time, the matching question. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 question 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's the answer choice A, B, C, D. So some like number 1 is C, and number 3 is, I don't know, D, and number 4 is B, number 2 is, those are matching, right? You know, matching question. So for number 1, you have 4 choices, A, B, C, D. You could choose any one of those. So you have 4 choices to choose from. But for number 2, so if you chose number 1 is C, for number 2, you don't choose C again because it's already chosen. Now you only have A, B, and D. Now you only have 3 choices to choose from because number 1, you already chose one of the letter. Hopefully that makes sense. There's one less choice each time. So number 2, I chose A. Well, what about number 3? Well, now you only have 2 choices, B and D. So there's only 2 choices to choose from. And for the last one, number 4, there's only 1 choice left. So that's the matching question. So if you multiply this, you get a lot less than 256. You only get 24 different ways possible. So you have a better chance of getting a perfect score on matching. That's why I hate matching questions. Okay, so number 14, let's just do that quickly. How many 4-digit PIN numbers are possible? You know, like PIN number, I can't tell you my PIN number, but somebody might have PIN number like, 1, 2, 3, 4, idiot. And then somebody could have a PIN number, 2, 2, 2, 2, another idiot. Okay, but there's tons of these PIN numbers possible, right? So first choice, you have 10 numbers to choose from, not 9. 0 through 9 is 10 numbers. Okay, and then there's 10 numbers and 10 numbers and 10 numbers. So all the PIN numbers are, if you multiply these, there are 10,000 PIN numbers possible. So you could stand at a, ATM and try all different 10,000 PIN numbers. One of them will work. Okay, number 15. Now you have 9 dots. You've seen those, right? There are 9 dots, and you're gonna connect. Well, for simplicity, we're gonna connect 4 of them. Okay, we're not gonna connect all 9 of them. So let's say you connect something like this. This is 1. Wait, that's too many. So connect 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's right. So 4 dots. That's one possible way to unlock the phone. Or maybe you chose something like this. Yeah. So maybe choose pattern that looks like this. That's another one. Or it could be like that. Right, so there are many possibilities. So how are you gonna count them all? How many different codes are possible? Well, one way to do it is you're gonna number these dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dots. So you're gonna choose some starting dot. Well, I'm gonna choose one of these dots to start. So there are, how many choices are there? There are 9 choices possible. Like I chose starting at dot number 2. And then to connect, I need to choose another dot. You cannot choose 2 again, because if you connect 2 with the 2, you don't go anywhere. So I need to connect with another different number than 2. So how many choices are there now? Well, out of 1 through 9, you cannot choose 2 again. So now you have 8 choices possible. So let's say I chose that one. I connect 2 and 6. Okay, so that's 2 dots. Now for the third dot, I only have 7 choices. Why? Because you cannot connect 6 with 6 or 6 back to 2 again. So now you have 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. That's 7 choices possible. So let's say I choose, I don't know, 7. Okay, 7 for 7. Okay, and then I'm gonna have to choose, it says 4 dots, connect 4 dots. So I'm gonna have to choose one more, and now how many do I have left? 1, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. So there's 6 choices possible. See how it's one less each time because you already chose one in the previous. So if you multiply this, you only get 3,024 different codes to unlock the phone. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here because you know what happened yesterday. I ran out of time. So if you have any questions, let me know through Remind or Google. Don't do the mass email on Google. I don't want other people to know that you don't know the simple one. So just let me know, and I'll either put up another video or I'll let you. I'll answer it directly. So let me know if you have any questions. Bye.